That sounded really loud. Okay, good evening, and welcome to the 2021 Sidney L. Pruitt chapter of the National Honor Society Induction and Honoree Ceremony. My name is Van Collins, and I am one of the NHS sponsors, alongside Mrs. Jeannie Collins. I'm here this evening to guide you through the night's festivities, which will include first the induction of our newest members, and then followed by a special ceremony where each of our graduating seniors will honor a person who has been influential in their young academic career. Before we begin the actual ceremony, I would like to thank a few people who may or may not be in attendance this evening. Thank you to our administration, Dr. Pollard, Mr. Webb, Mrs. Worthington, Mr. Harper, Dr. Sanderson, Mr. Underwood, and Mrs. Barrows for allowing us the opportunity to induct these new members, along with any other faculty or staff in attendance. Last but not least, a huge thanks to you, the family and friends who have gathered here to support these young men and women. This is a pretty special ceremony, and I know that they appreciate you being here. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into this. So, if you are being inducted this evening, come on down the ramp, to the ramp, line up on the ramp, and make sure you are in alphabetical order by your last name. Let's see if you can do that. Hopefully they can figure it out. We'll see. Inductees, make sure you can see the podium, so some of y'all might have to back up a little bit, because we do want you to listen and hear what we have to say. All right, looks like we're ready. So our ceremony will be done by our senior members. So Miss Aubrey Barcroft is going to start us out.
Dr. Pollard, Dr. Sanderson, members of the faculty, parents, and students, welcome to the 2021 NHS Induction Ceremony. We are gathered here to formally recognize those students who have been selected by the faculty of our school for successfully completing their candidacy and are being inducted as new members of our NHS chapter. For current members and those former members who may be among our guests, we hope this will serve to remind you of the standards of excellence you two are charged with maintaining as members of the nation's oldest, largest, and most prestigious students recognition program. Our chapter is proud to have been inducting new members since 1972, and with today's ceremony indicates the continuing emphasis on excellence that we represent for our school and community. Throughout the year, members of our chapter serve as role models for other students, in addition to the strong academic records which established our eligibility for membership. Our chapter members are leaders in many student organizations, from the band and athletics to student council, student to student, and FFA. In addition, we serve our school and community through many of our various volunteer activities. We are proud of this record of accomplishment and welcome these new members who bring new energy and support of our continuing work as NHS members. It is at this time that we proclaim to all in attendance that membership in the Sidney L. Pruitt chapter of the National Honor Society has been earned by these candidates through the effective demonstration of the 4 qualities that serve as standards by the Society. Members of the chapter will now receive these qualities for the candidates. We begin with scholarship.
Scholarship denotes a commitment to learning. A student is willing to spend hours in reading and study, knowing the lasting benefits of a cultivated mind. We should continue to learn even when formal education has ended, for human education ends only with the end of life. Knowledge is one great element in life, which leads to highest success, and it can be acquired only in one way, through diligence and effort. Learning furnishes the lamp by which we read the past, the torch guiding us to understand the present, and the light that illuminates the future. Candidates have the charge to continually expand their work through the opportunities inherent in scholarship. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, scholarship is to be created not by compulsion, but by awakening a pure interest in knowledge.
Leadership.
Leadership should exert a wholesome influence on the school in taking initiative in the classroom and in school activities. The real leader strives to train and aid others to reach their common goals of success. The price of leadership is sacrifice, the willingness to yield one's personal interests for the interests of others. A leader has self-confidence and will go forward when others hesitate. No matter what power and resources may exist in school, community, or nation, they are ineffectual without the guidance of a wise leader. Leadership is always needed, thus to lead is a meaningful, substantive charge to each of our members. As Max Dupree, a famous American writer and businessman, said, the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality, the last is to say thank you, and in between, the leader is a servant.
Service.
My office is service. Service can be established in the routine of the day's work where many opportunities arise to help others both at school and in the community. A willingness to work for the benefit of those in need without monetary compensation or public recognition is the quality we seek in our membership and promote for the entire student body. We are committed to volunteering our time and talents to the creation of a better tomorrow. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., everyone can be great because anyone can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love.
Character.
Character is the force within the individual that distinguishes each person from others. It creates for us, each of us, our individuality, our goodness. It is that without which no one can respect oneself, nor hope to attain the respect of others. It is this force of character that guides one through life, and once developed, grows steadily within. Character is achieved and not received. It is the product of constant thought and action, the daily striving to make the right choice. The problem of character is the problem of self-control. We must be in reality what we wish to appear to others, to be rather than to seem. By demonstrating such qualities as respect, responsibility, trustworthiness, fairness, caring, and citizenship, we may hope to prove by example that we value character. And as Oswald Chambers once said, the greatest test of a man's character is his tongue.
And now, as your name is called, please step forward, light your candle from the candle of truth, and step to the other side of the room. Emma Blakely. Darcy Carruthers. Peyton Dooley. Kinsey Gardner. Jaden Gomez. Rady Hollingsworth. Scout Key. Haley Linsman. Caitlin Merritt. Cheyenne Miller. Anna Mitchell. Georgia Penny. Nolly Pickles. Lexi Poston. Jesse Salas. Bailey Snoddy. Julie Sun. Cooper Sutton. Stormy Tatum. Caden Jack Walls. Ainsley Warren. At this time, will the new inductees please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I pledge to uphold the high purposes of the National Honor Society, to which I have been selected. I will be true to the principles for which it stands, and will maintain and encourage the high standards of scholarship, leadership, service, and character. Thank you.
Please help me in congratulating our newest members. Don't blow your candles out yet. If anybody would like to stand up, move around a little bit to take a picture, we'll take a second to do that if you'd like to do that. And don't light your hair on fire, girls, okay? If you want to remove your mask for this picture, you may do that. Brian, it might help with the house lights up. All right. Blow your candle out. It's yours to keep. Don't catch the school on fire. Congratulations. Go. Go. We do have a gift bag for all of our new inductees and also our senior members who got inducted in February. So before you leave this evening, we want to get two things. Get your bag, and we also want a group picture, so don't run off too fast. Okay, on to maybe my favorite thing we do all year, and that's our seniors honoring somebody who has been a part of their educational life, and it's a big deal. It's important for them to reflect and see who really made an impact in their life, and they put a lot of thought into this. This is not something that they just crammed the night before, so it really is one of my favorite things that we do, period. So we're going to start out. I know she's good. She's a little nervous. She's already been out here, but we're going to start out with Miss Aubrey Barcroft.
Okay. First, it was very hard for me to choose one person in particular, since I've been fortunate enough to know several amazing educators throughout high school. Although there has been one that has stuck out among the rest. He arrived at high school the same time I did, and my freshman year was his first year coaching here at Gatesville. I met him when it was my time to try out for the soccer team. I made varsity, and at the time, I knew very little about his coaching style. I would soon learn through the years that he is extremely sarcastic. If you mention Chick-fil-A enough, he will eventually get it for you after an away game. When it is windy, you need to be extra nice to him because it will make him grumpy. And before games, you should move all trash cans away from him for the safety of his own foot. And last, he loves Adidas so much that I wouldn't be surprised if he was wearing it tonight. With all that said, above all, Coach Campbell cares for his players. As many of you may know, my mother passed away my sophomore year. This has been one of the hardest challenges of my life and one that I am still going through. But when home hurt too much because of the memories, and school felt wrong because no one knew how to act, I would go to soccer. It's where I was happiest. And I'm beyond blessed to have such amazing teammates and coaches. So thank you, Coach Campbell, for 4 amazing years I had in the soccer program. I would like to leave everyone with something I've been told every Friday for the past 4 years. Go home, tell your family you love them, give them a big hug, and please come back to me in one piece. Thank you.
One thing that I do want to mention for our seniors, if you're next, please come back to behind the stage right here so we can keep things moving. Also, once you're done, get a flower. You're going to give it to your honoree. Even if they're a guy, it's okay. They have somebody they can give that flower to. So, all right, next up, Mr. Josh Bartlett.
Good evening. Tonight, I would like to recognize and honor a teacher that holds a very special place in my heart, as he's the reason I've decided to pursue a career in mechanical engineering. I first met this teacher through Gatesville ISD's newly offered engineering endorsement pathway in junior high school. His class was unique and different from all my other classes, and I quickly fell in love with his class and curriculum he taught. Over the next 5 years, I would be provided the opportunity to witness the amount of time and dedication he invested in this program. I was amazed about how much effort he put forth in order to ensure that students had the best possible learning experience. Whether it was bringing in guest speakers from companies such as SpaceX, learning entirely new computer programs such as Autodesk Revit, or even sacrificing his conference period so that he could teach all of the engineering classes. This individual will always put his students before himself. More than a teacher, he was a mentor who taught life lessons and practical skills like creative problem solving and public speaking. These skills have helped me earn my Eagle Scout rank, and I was honored that he wrote a personal reference for my Eagle Scout Board of Review. Without any hesitation, I can confidently say that I would not be the same person I am today if it was not for this educator. Kyle Lovejoy, thank you for the opportunities you provided me with and the impact you have made in my life. You will never truly understand how grateful I am to have had you as a mentor and a teacher.
Mr. Nate Bartlett.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Bartlett, and tonight I have the privilege to recognize Mrs. Catherine Phillips. Going into high school, I had no interest in plants whatsoever, and I could never imagine that I would go into college majoring in wildlife and fishery sciences. It was Mrs. Phillips who helped me find my passion for the plant and natural resource side of agriculture, and I'm very thankful for the impact she's had on my life. I've always wanted to become a veterinarian, but I didn't know what kind of work I wanted to do. Thanks to her positive influence on me, I've decided to pursue a career in wildlife medicine. What I appreciate the most about Mrs. Phillips was her caring attitude toward all of her students. I had the pleasure of having her as teacher not once, but multiple times, and she set a tremendous example of how to be a great educator and motivator. Her classes had a large emphasis on hands-on experience, and she always found ways to apply what we learned in class to real life. Mrs. Phillips was also the person who encouraged to have me join FFA. It was always fascinating to hear her experience in forestry and natural resources, and she showed such passion in mentoring our wildlife team. Thank you, Mrs. Phillips, for doing more than just teach me about plants and wildlife. You showed me how being kind, patient, and encouraging can make the difference in someone's life. Thank you.
Miss Emma Blakely.
Good evening. Over the years, I have had the privilege of being taught by many outstanding teachers. One I want to give a special thanks to is Miss Graham. Before I talk about Miss Graham has impacted my life, I would like to take a minute to describe her. She is funny, easy to talk to, blunt, generous, loves the office, a book lover, and most of all, one of the most caring people I have ever met. Miss Graham has been my teacher for the past 2 years. I was a part of her dual credit English class my junior year. Now I'm a part of her dual credit British literature class my senior year. She has taught me in my not so favorite subject, but now I have grown to love the subject of reading and writing. She has helped me learn how to analyze what I'm reading and turn it into more profound meanings, which has helped me know so many amazing things that will better me in the future. Even though I just met Miss Graham 2 years ago, she has become much more than a teacher. She has become a friend. She is always there for me when I need her advice about different situations, college things, and anything random that comes across my mind. She has been very encouraging to not only me, but all of her students. She wants to make sure that everyone can succeed in many ways, no matter the situation. As I said earlier, I've had the privilege of having excellent teachers from kindergarten all the way to senior year. They have impacted me in many different ways, but Miss Graham will always have a special place in my heart because of everything she has done for me. Thank you for all the help, ranting sessions, lunchtime chats, and everything else you have done for me in the past 2 years. I will forever be grateful for everything. Thank you again, Ms. Graham.
Miss Darcy Carruthers.
My story with this person started my freshman year. For some reason, I decided it was a good idea to look into my boyfriend's dual credit biology class. As I'm looking into the window of this door trying to see him, all of a sudden this teacher yells at me to stop. So I walk away, and I'm frightened at this point, but later on I tell my boyfriend what had happened, and he goes on to tell me that this is his favorite teacher. And I'm sitting here thinking, how on earth can this be your favorite teacher? She was rude to me. She yelled at me. A few years pass, and I have still not talked to this person. But then junior year rolled around, and she was my history teacher. As I got to know her, I couldn't believe Gatesville High School was so lucky to have a teacher like her. As you would teach, I would just sit there and wonder, how is someone this smart? You're one of the best teachers I've ever had. You taught me so many things, but not everything was always serious. You constantly crack me up, whether it's your funny or not so funny history jokes. Or you trying to do wall sits while in class, or sitting on the desk while teaching, or how no one will ever understand your love for croutons or Dr. Pepper. I'm sure you've guessed it by now. Miss Collins, thank you for everything you've done for me and many, many other students. You're the type of teacher that makes me want to get up every day and go to school. You are so caring, genuine, and funny. By the way, me and Preston still argue to this day who was your favorite student, me or him. And well, I know it's me. You're one of a kind, and I'll miss you so much. Love you, Miss Collins.
Mr. Dylan Charles.
Whenever I first moved to Gatesville, it was a big change, and it was a difficult time in my life. Dealing with changing schools and friends was quite difficult, and having great teachers and friends there made the adjusting to the new environment a lot easier. As time went on and began making new friends and finding a teacher that truly cared about me. I've had Mr. Lovejoy as a teacher since 8th grade to junior year when he moved at the end of the year during COVID. And I can confidently say no teachers had a greater impact on me. When we began learning engineering programs, Mr. Lovejoy had about as much knowledge as we did. He would learn the program the night before, and then he would, once he began to get an understanding of it, he would begin to teach us the next day. And he was teaching these programs to sophomores and juniors in high school, and it was college-level classes, and he was so excited and always would brag about us, and it was just an amazing thing to see. And in my 4 years as Mr. Lovejoy's student, I can say there was never a day in which he was just not excited to teach us what he had learned. And it was always him managing to crack a joke, or he would make you laugh when there was never a dull moment in his class. He had a unique way of teaching and made these complicated programs so much fun to learn and understand, and it was just such a unique environment from any other classroom I'd been in. Some days going to his class was a break from the day, a time to distress, and if it were not for Mr. Lovejoy, I don't think I'd be the same person I am today. His positive impact on my life is immeasurable, and I cannot thank him enough for what he has taught me.
Miss Miriam Damian Jacobo.
Throughout my life, I have learned multiple lessons from various people that have shaped me into the person I am today. Today, I would like to thank someone that taught me to never give up on myself and whose presence gave me the motivation needed to succeed. She was a wonderful role model for me during my journey of learning English. She helped me during a time in my life where I was developing and thrown into an unknown world. The kindness she showed me was something that left me an imprint in my heart, and even after all the time that has passed, the gratitude I feel for her is still as strong as it was back then. She believed in me when I could not believe in myself. She greeted me with a smile and calmed my anxious heart. I joined her class in 3rd grade, shortly after moving back to Gatesville, with Spanish as my first language, and throughout the chaos of moving, struggled to adjust in this beautiful yet unfamiliar town. I would see how friendships were created through the classroom, and my classmates attempted to speak to me. However, they all failed. What was expected? I couldn't understand them. Even though English was my first language and I was born here, I smiled and wished for the day to end. I wanted to rush home to be in the comfort of my family. During this time in my life, I enclosed myself in a bubble and clung to my family, the only sure aspect of my life. Growing up with 4 siblings, I didn't feel the need to socialize in school and instead observed. I remember when she would order books for the classroom and she would pull me to the side, her face glowing with a smile clear on her face. She would speak softly, "Miriam, tell me what books you want and I'll order them." She would search for books that had both English and Spanish and presented them to me so that I could learn, excitement always radiating. I could sense the passion in her eyes. She wanted to help me, and that is exactly what she did. Despite the language barriers, she made sure I was never excluded while teaching her class. These small acts motivated me to improve. Eventually, I would spend my free time outside of class reading and practicing the language, eager to learn this fascinating tongue. As I learned the language, I kept my voice silent from the embarrassment of my thick accent. I did not wish to show the others I was different. She never pressured me to socialize, but made sure I was never alone. I wanted to make my parents proud after all they had done for me. I don't remember much of that year. It now feels like a blur, but when I felt like a stranger, an intruder, a loner, she took me in, and her love for teaching reminded me I was not alone through the difficult journey of learning. She was a wonderful teacher, and I have no doubt in my mind she has changed the lives of multiple other students. Those who know me know my memory is not the best. However, I will always remember the comfort I felt from the portable, the smile imprinted on her face, the lessons learned. And for that, Ms. Webb, I must say thank you.
Miss Sydney Gilbreth.
The teacher I'm honoring today has been a part of my life for many, many years. I met this teacher when I was 8 years old and have grown up in the church with him. I remember watching him lead the church in song, and I always tried my best to sing just as good as he did. This teacher has been a great role model for kids and adults. He is always eager to help students and teachers no matter what the problem is. When I got into high school, especially freshman year, there were many times I was either lost or confused, but I always knew he would be there to lead me in the right direction. He has always been supportive of the sports teams and school events, especially volleyball, and he made sure to congratulate us after every game. This person has spoken many wise words to me and taught me multiple valuable life lessons. Not only has he been a great mentor to me and many others, but he always brightens my day by having a pot of hot coffee in his rooms at all times. If I was having a bad day, stopping by his room and getting a cup always made it better. I also want to thank this person for putting up with me during every single lunch. We've made lots of unforgettable memories that I'll cherish forever. Coach Hale, I appreciate everything you have done for me in the past few years, and I will forever be grateful for all of the help with homework, college applications, volleyball tips, and everything else in between. You are one of the smartest people I know, and I have loved learning from you all these years. You have made a huge impact on my life and taught me things I will never forget. Those who have not got to know you are truly missing out. Your generosity and hard work do not go unnoticed. Thank you for everything, Coach Hale.
Miss Callie Goins.
When I was asked to give a speech honoring a person who has pushed me, challenged me, and held me up during my high school career, I knew exactly who I would speak about, Miss Tori Cummings. I met Miss Cummings as a young freshman when I began eating lunch in her office. Little did I know that I was meeting a person who would make such an impact on my life. Now, 4 years later, I get to thank her for all that she has done. Miss Cummings is a person who will throw herself headfirst and full-heartedly into anything to protect those that she loves. She is strong and does not allow others or herself to be treated unfairly, always being the first to say what is right and to demand the best out of every person she meets. Miss Cummings was a person that I could always go to talk about struggles, triumphs, or just day-to-day life. I will always love her for what she has done, and words alone will never be enough to show how thankful I am to have her in my life. Thank you, Miss Tori Cummings, for all you've done for me.
Mr. Ben Hollingsworth.
When asked to give a speech about someone who has had a huge impact on my high school career, it was kind of difficult because there have been so many who have helped me along the way. But there was one individual who stood out to me amongst everyone else. My honoree is someone that I've had the privilege of knowing for 4 years now, and she always pushes me to do my best at anything that I do, whether it's sports, academics, or even activities outside of school. Not only does she push me, but she gives me great advice when it comes to certain situations. School has been really rough the past few years, and if I ever needed someone to turn to, she was always there for me. And no matter how bad my day was, she never failed to lighten it up and make me smile. She is always more than glad to help me in any way that she can, even on her busiest days, and she treats me like one of her own kids. Not only has she been a friend, but I consider her to be a part of my family. She is the most loving and caring person I've ever met, and she is one of the people that helped me love me for who I am. Michelle Fast, I cannot even begin to describe the huge impact that you have had in my life and what a true role model that you have been. I will always remember our silly conversations that we had during class and during the passing periods. I will never forget all that you've done for me. I don't think I would be who I am today without your guidance, and without you, high school would have been a lot harder on me mentally, but I know that someone always looked out for me and had my back, made me feel more comfortable at school. Michelle Fast, I appreciate you for helping me as much as you have, and I'm very grateful for the close relationship that we've had throughout the years. You are very important to me, and you have been the best teacher, friend, mother, and mentor anyone could ever ask for.
Miss Rady Hollingsworth.
My honoree is someone I've had the privilege of knowing since the 3rd grade. Back then, she was my UIL storytelling teacher, and more recently, she has been the assistant coach for the varsity tennis team. Miss Tatum has been like a second mom throughout the time I've known her. She has been such a major person in my life, and if I've ever needed anything, she has been there for me. She has such a kind heart and would do anything for anyone. In junior high, I went through a tough time with medical issues and being diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Miss Tatum was not only there for me, but for my parents too. I don't know if I ever had the chance to thank you for being present in such a hard time in my life, and for my parents as well. She has inspired me to accomplish many great things and to even overcome my fears. She was the reason I started playing tennis in the first place. She thought I would be good at it, and little did I know she would be decently right. I wasn't good at sports, so how would I know? For those who don't really know me, I get very nervous with things that I do, such as playing tennis or even taking a test. I'm nervous right now, and she knows that too. It recently had gotten worse with district right around the corner. I was nervous at every tournament to the point that I was shaking and having a hard time to physically move. With this being said, Ms. Tatum has spent a lot of time thinking of ways to help me overcome my nerves. She has given me tips and tricks, which has helped me so much, but the one thing that has helped me more than anything was her coming on the court to talk to me. At district, I was the most nervous I'd ever been playing in my semifinals match because it was all or nothing to make it to regionals, and I was having a hard time focusing and moving. Ms. Tatum walked onto the court and talked to me and told me I was doing amazing and that I would be completely fine, and the best part was that I believed her. I got up to play again, and as soon as I was about to start the point, I'm not even exaggerating, my nerves were completely gone, and I didn't lose a single game after that. She has such a calming presence, and I always take her advice to heart. Ms. Tatum has been a huge part of my life, and I don't know what I would have done these past few years without her. The least I can do is say thank you. Thank you for helping me accomplish more than I ever thought was possible. Thank you for helping me love sports again. Thank you for helping me find a passion with tennis and even my future career. Thank you for cooking us breakfast when I would stay the night with Shai and Stormy. Thank you for being the second mom to me, and most importantly, thank you for absolutely everything you have done for me. I would not be the person I am today without your guidance and advice. Thank you.
Miss Katie Smalley.
Growing up the youngest of 4 kids, I never really had a lot of confidence in myself because I always felt like I had to live up to the expectations of 3 incredibly smart and talented kids. I felt like I had to do everything they did just to be half as great. My parents made each and every one of us feel important and equal, but there was always this thought in the back of my mind that I wasn't. Like I said, I felt I had to do everything my siblings did. That included many sports. But one sport that really stuck with me was basketball. About 4th grade was when I decided to take basketball more seriously and I started playing year-round. It started off as just some fun tournaments, but when we got to 6th grade, it all faded away. We decided to have a summer. I was devastated that I was no longer going to be playing the sport I loved year-round. Over the years, my mom became pretty good friends with Mrs. Cody Warren, and I became pretty good friends with Ainsley. And they told us about this little select team in Waco, and I decided to try it out. My first practice there, I was terrified, and my confidence in myself as a player decreased dramatically, because all of these girls were so much better than me. You could see the lack of confidence on the court, especially on offense. That's when this tall, amazingly talented guy approached me and told me if I didn't score a basket by the end of the quarter, I was going to be running all of next practice. Nobody was allowed to shoot unless it was me, and for the rest of the quarter, I was the only one shooting. Terrified of having to run, I did as I was told, and eventually I scored. I've never seen someone get so excited about a ball going through a net than this man. From that moment on, Coach Jason Mitchell became my shoulder to cry on, my confidence booster, and my best friend. He spent countless hours coming to watch our Gatesville basketball games, coming to Waco Elite practices and tournaments, and he spent many hours having private lessons with nearly all of the girls on the team. Each week, he would drive to Gatesville to help me with my basketball skills, and he made me the person I am today. He gave me confidence not only on the court, but also off. He inspired me to do good in school, keep nothing but positivity in my life, stand up for myself, and become a better person. I've known him for 6 years, and I've never seen him have a bad day. He's always encouraging you in some way or just making you laugh. Whether it was watching his 1-hour Snapchat stories, getting in trouble at practice because of him, or hearing his loud voice at basketball games, this man never failed to put a smile on my face. I know that no matter where I go in life, he will always be right behind me. I can talk about him for hours, but unfortunately, we don't have hours. So thank you for making me who I am today. I don't know where I'd be without you, and I will take the lessons you've taught me through life, and I will never forget you. Love you, Coach Mitchell.
Mr. Jaeger Smith.
Hello, my name is Jaeger Smith, and the teacher I'll be honoring today has truly given her everything to her students this year with an awe-inspiring display of patience, persistence, and genuine care for our education. I would like to honor Mrs. Lisa Truss for her dedication to the success of her students. Mrs. Truss is my teacher for On-Ramps Chemistry. On-Ramps is a brand new program for our high school, which basically means that our high school course is simultaneously enrolled with the freshman chemistry course for University of Texas. This being our first year of On-Ramps, Ms. Truss has spent countless hours since this past summer taking courses, attending workshops, and meeting with other On-Ramps teachers over Zoom to help learn how to navigate Canvas, the platform that On-Ramps works on. Not just from her side, learning how to use Canvas, not just from her side, but from the student's perspective as well, to teach us where to find our material and assignments. This school year has been the busiest year of my life, between working every day, having constant tennis matches, and trying to keep up with the highly demanding load we receive as NHS qualifying students. My schedule has been a nightmare to work with. I've joked to Ms. Truss before that our emailing schedules are complete opposites except for the window between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. every night. Normally with a messy schedule like that, you could just make up the work as you went and catch up as soon as you were able to have time to catch up. With On-Ramps being a strictly scheduled online course, assignments must be specifically rescheduled for exact dates and times. This process has been a painful one of scheduling for me personally, and I cannot imagine how it has been for Ms. Truss dealing with the scheduling of our whole class on top of teaching her other classes. I know I've definitely been a thorn in her side this year, trying to keep a somewhat structured course planned through a tangled web of obstacles, and without a teacher as dedicated as Ms. Truss, I have no clue how I would have made it through this year up to now. Once we understood our platform of learning and we were able to figure out scheduling, it was on to the material itself. The main reason I chose to take chemistry at the beginning of this year was because out of the 3 required sciences I've taken since freshman year of biology, physics, and chemistry, chemistry is the material that I've struggled the most with. I'm extremely lucky that I ended up with Ms. Truss as my teacher, because everything about the way she runs her class has helped me and given me a chance to understand what I never would have without her help. Mrs. Truss possesses one of the traits that I value most when it comes to the person responsible for my education: honesty. With the unfamiliar program and some of the new material that had not been relevant in years past, there have been countless unknowns. Whenever we ask her a question and she's not 100% sure of an answer, she was very straightforward with us and told us that she would go home that night and research our question or investigate it on Canvas. You'd better believe that every time that happened, Ms. Truss showed up the next day with a carefully thought out, accurate explanation of the previous day's dilemma. I cannot express enough how thankful I am to you, Mrs. Truss. The care that you have shown us in all of your class and your dedication to each and every one of us succeeding has made the difference in my success in the material that I've struggled with the most. Thank you truly.
Mr. Toby Sestek.
I'm here to honor the most influential person in my life. A teacher is typically someone who wants to make students understand a subject and considers that an occupation. Never have I met someone more motivated to be so much more than just a teacher in a classroom than Miss Latham. She taught me not just the history of the world, but taught me how to have a passion for learning more. When I first got to Gatesville my sophomore year, I was dreading history. I considered myself more of a science and maths person, so I was ignorant to the subject. To be honest, nothing changed the first few weeks because there was a substitute teacher who was trying to get us through the class. Then Miss Latham arrived, and I began to find an interest in things that I considered useless and pointless to learn before, such as the Roman Empire. Still, I had yet to be sold on the fact that this was a curriculum that would yield any positive results. I still remember her asking us if history was anyone's favorite subject, and only 2 people raised their hand. But as the year went on, and after a few really interesting lessons made not interesting because of the material, but how it was being portrayed with immense passion and knowledge, and a few corny songs that still make me want to never cover the bubonic plague again, I began to truly appreciate the subject. When we got around to King Henry VIII, I realized that truly no other teacher had brought about as much true content and passion about a subject, as she was almost in tears when she found out that she was sick and unable to teach that day. This desire to acquire more knowledge was thanks to an amazing teacher who's changed my life down to what I do in my spare time to even change my career. Thank you, Miss Latham, for what you have taught me and what you have done for me. I couldn't be more thankful for such an amazing teacher and friend.
Mr. Shai Tatum.
Hello, my name is Shai Tatum, and tonight I would like to honor somebody who has drastically impacted my life. In school, she is known as Miss Early. However, I have always known her as Savette. In case you didn't already know, Savette is my aunt, and not only that, but she is the best aunt I could have ever hoped for. Ever since I was a baby, Savette has been present in my life. If my parents ever needed help taking care of me or needed a place for me to go, Savette would always be there to welcome me with open arms. As I grew older, I began to appreciate everything that she did more and more. Savette is an extraordinary worker. Sometimes she would work multiple jobs or change her job yearly to do what she believed was best for her family. She values her family above everything else, always putting me, my sister, and her son at the top of her priority list. Speaking of which, her son Sloan has been my best friend for almost 17 years now. During my elementary and intermediate years, I would go to Savette's house every day to hang out with her son, and during this time, Savette became a second mother to me. And undoubtedly, to this day, I still consider her to be my second mom. During my time I spent with them, Savette never once scolded me or refused to let me visit. Instead, she would encourage me and motivate me to do great things, as well as make absolutely fantastic food. And for the 18 years I've known Savette, she has never stopped encouraging me to do my best or stopped making great food. Later in my life, when I became a freshman, Savette became a teacher at the Gatesville Junior High. I was utterly amazed by how much effort and love she put into her job as a teacher. Savette cared for each and every one of her students and wanted all of them to succeed. She frequently approached me for advice on what the students would enjoy and what I thought would be the best course of action. I had never seen this kind of meticulous and thorough planning and interest from a teacher before, and I was extremely impressed. The next year, she moved to the high school and still wanted what was best for her students and cared for each and every one of them. Advanced classes or non-advanced classes, she would put countless hours into teaching and planning so she could figure out the best way for each student to learn. Even to this day, she still asks me for advice, and if I ever need advice of my own, I know she will be there to help and support me. This speech does not even begin to scratch the surface of all the amazing things that Miss Early has done to impact my life, as well as her students' lives. Her hardworking, enthusiastic, and loving personality has helped make me into the person I am today, and I cannot thank her enough for everything she's done for me. Thank you.
Miss Bryce Van Zyl.
Life is not easy or simple. Many wish it were, but in my opinion, I don't think life would be as meaningful if it were. Many people have taught me that, and it was difficult to choose just one of the amazing and influential people in my life, and even looking around as I say this, I could say many things to many of you. But the individual I chose to honor was at the start of my journey to become a better person. It was 5 years ago when I had them as an instructor. I was in 8th grade and I was hard-headed, antisocial, extremely awkward, and only really cared about myself. Thankfully, with the help of many and the determination and goals I set for myself, I have changed into the person I am today. Though this individual, I do set them at the top of my list for reasons I did change. They taught me to be less stubborn, less of a rule with an iron tight fist person, and more of a caring, understanding, and empathetic go-getter. It was because of them I took my first steps to becoming a leader and the more outgoing person I am today. The most prominent example was in sophomore year of band. I decided to take the leap and try out for the leadership team, and I got onto the team. I was not good at it. I found myself constantly failing and reverting back to my awkward self and finding myself in a chaotic situation that I was supposed to be in charge of but could never get there. I wanted to quit the team. Never have I admitted that, and after this, I will never likely admit it again. I also cried a lot because I thought I was a huge failure and wouldn't ever improve, and, well, I tend to be quite the anxiety-filled overthinker of a perfectionist. 2 years later, and I become a drum major. I was perfectly fine leading a squad of kids. In fact, I had fun with it. And I must say, if it was not for the person I'm honoring, I would have not even thought about becoming a drum major or taking any other leadership roles in the various organizations I'm involved with, because they helped me with my anxiety countless of times and always had faith and confidence in me. Now enough of the suspense, though I am sure they and many of you have figured out who I am honoring. But without further ado, I would like to thank and honor Mrs. Delaware. You have helped me in so many ways, and I know I do not express my gratitude enough. It's been a crazy and wonderful 5 years of band with you as one of my directors, and I could not ask for a better band experience. I know high school is not all about band, but the lessons learned and experiences lived in band will stay with me forever. Mrs. Delaware, you have taught me to be more confident, to have more faith in myself, and to be a better person in general. Without you and many others, I would not be the person I am today, and I know I still have a long way to go, but I am positive that I am better prepared for the next chapter of my life than I would have been if I hadn't had you as an instructor. I am ready to move on from high school, and there is no fear, even though I know life will get increasingly more difficult, but I have a calm feeling about it. I do not regret any choices that I have made, for everything is in the past, and the choices I have made have led me here. A lot of it has to do thanks to Mrs. Delaware. There's so many emotions that I wish I could convey and weave into words, and perhaps one day I will be able to. Until then, I want you to know that I am truly grateful for you never giving up on me or anyone else, and the faith and confidence you had me and so many others. And it has taught me the most important thing I have learned during high school, that I have no idea what is going on in someone's life. I am ignorant when it comes to others. Everyone has their secrets and problems, but even if they do not seem like they are the best of people, never lose hope or faith in anyone. They could potentially become a good friend, one of the best people you know, or they could perhaps make the history books. Be wary, but do not view them negatively. I have become a happier person over the years because of this lesson. It's true, a more positive but yet still realistic output on life really does help the mind. At this point, I could go on forever just in a repeating circle of words trying to find a way to say how I feel, but I think the best way is to simply say, I'm grateful to you, Mrs. Delaware, for the many lessons taught and the opportunities given. Thank you for everything.
Mr. Caden Jack Walls.
Good evening. When I was told I was going to have to write a speech, I didn't really know what to do. If it were up to me, I'd write a speech for every single teacher I've ever had. Each one has impacted me so greatly that even if I were allowed to write each one a recognition letter, the words would not be enough to express the depth of my gratitude. My thanks to all of you who have supported me as your student. That being said, I had to share with my classmates, so I had to pick one person, and they have contributed to a great chunk of who I am today. My honoree is someone who is very recent in my life. Yet despite that, they have impacted me in not just the big ways, but also the small ones as well. They've been there for me not only as a teacher, but also as a mentor, guiding me through the tough questions and roadblocks that I have had to face. They saw potential in me where I couldn't, and taught me it is okay to make mistakes and that being a perfectionist isn't what makes you successful as an adult. And with that, it is with great honor, respect, pride, and pleasure to announce that this is dedicated to Mrs. Underwood. When I first met Mrs. Underwood, back when we could still see people's faces at school, I was greeted with one of the warmest smiles a person has ever given me, despite not even officially being her student. She didn't have a reason to be nice to me. She didn't even have a reason to talk to me or give me her time. Yet she did anyway, even without knowing me. Coming into junior year, I had no hope in my abilities in English. I wasn't really that good at writing essays, guys. It was really bad. Yet despite this, Mrs. Underwood wasn't fazed. She didn't see a helpless student, but saw room for growth. Because of this, I didn't waste my time or hers as well. If I made a mistake, I wanted to know why, and if my grade was lower than what I wanted, I stayed after class to find ways to make it go up. I studied strategies, practiced not just writing, but reading as well. All of this because she believed in me. She saw that I wanted to become better, so she believed in me and showed me the path, picking me up when I fell and congratulating me when I succeeded. And it wasn't just in English. Even with problems outside of my life, she still offered a guiding hand and advice. More this year than last, she has been one of the most supportive people for me as I move on to my next step in life. Despite this not as my teacher, doing this not as my teacher, but as an adult who sees someone scared because they are going from a small pond to a big ocean of life. She has always reassured me, always telling me that no, you aren't the first one to be worried about this, or it's okay to make mistakes because you're going to become better from them. I've been able to laugh, smile, cry, be angry, but most importantly, be human in front of her without her passing zero judgment towards me. And that is something that deserves more than just words. Thank you. Thank you for the laughs, the smiles, and the support on everything that I've done. Thank you for the advice, the boosting of my confidence, and making me twice the person that I was when I first stepped into your class, as well as a writer. But most importantly, thank you for believing in me. I've lived a rough one, and many times I have considered the worth of my actions and if it was all for naught. But it's people like you who have made it all worth it throughout my high school career. Thank you for everything, and plan on me still asking you to proofread my essays in college, including my dissertation when I become a doctor, and that's a promise. Have a blessed life, and may there be more kids like me who are touched by your actions. Thank you.
Miss Ainsley Warren.
When I was asked to pick someone to honor for tonight, I knew exactly who I wanted to pick. So tonight I would like to honor Mrs. Kunkle. I first met her at the beginning of my 8th grade year as she was my volleyball and basketball coach. Although she was new to our school and the town, she came in with a positive attitude and embraced her new home. Everyone on the team welcomed her, and we all looked up to her as a role model. And as I moved on to high school, I did not see her as often until my sophomore year when she became the new counselor. I became the counselor's aide my junior year, which allowed me to spend more time with Mrs. Kunkle on a daily basis. During this time, I was able to bond with her over many things happening in my life. Mrs. Kunkle is one of the kindest people I know and is always caring for others. She is the one to reach out and lend a helping hand when it's needed. She always wears a bright smile on her face, which makes a bad day a better one. Over the past few years that I have known her, I've noticed she always goes above and beyond for every kid, not because it's her job, but because she honestly wants them to succeed. By her showing simple, kind gestures towards others, it inspires me to go make someone else's day better. Anytime I see her, whether in school or somewhere else in town, I know I can always talk to her about anything happening in my life. I consider her to be more than a high school counselor, but a family friend. She has been more than helpful towards me with success in school and outside of the classroom by supporting me in the activities I'm involved with. She has been a role model to me for how I want to treat other people as I grow up. I cannot thank her enough for the support and help that she has given me over the past few years, and I will remember her as I go on to college and throughout the rest of my life.
I would like to invite Dylan Charles to give a few closing remarks.
Members of the Sidney L. Pruitt chapter of the National Honor Society would like to thank our parents, our teachers, and our administrators for their continuing generosity and support over all our years of instruction. We'd also like to thank Mr. Brian Reeder, Miss Velvet Janes, and Gina from Angelic Heirlooms for their assistance in hosting tonight's ceremonies. In addition, we would also like to thank the family, friends, and members of the community, pastors, school faculty members, and countless others who have supported us in our education thus far. Thank you.
This does conclude our ceremony. However, we do want to get a picture of our inductees, so, and obviously some parents would like to as well. So at this time, can we have the inductees come down to the front on the stage in front of the G? Yeah, anybody that was inducted tonight? For the rest of you, if you're not waiting on a picture, you are dismissed. Thank you for coming.